Hogstye.
All right, I'm going to start out this post-game show with a question to you, Steve.
Welcome to the Hogstye, everybody, by the way.
Yeah, welcome to the Hogstye. Who is less likely to show up? I mean, we got a bye week, right?
Right.
And then we're back versus Tampa. Who is less likely to play in this Tampa game? Taylor Heinicke or Chris Blewett?
Chris Blewett.
Do you think Blewett?
Yes.
Blewett's done, right? He's got to be done.
I mean, all of the kicks that have been blocked have been his fault.
Right. Both of them were so low they would have bounced at the 10-yard line.
I think you and I could have blocked them.
Yeah. By the way, you and I are both very short, and we could have barely put our hands up and blocked.
I'm a lot shorter than you are.
Yeah. I'm of average height.
You're above average height. So I mean, we might as well talk about Blewett first. First of all, Taylor Heinicke is laughing at Washington, and he's laughing at
Hopkins.
Hopkins. Heinicke is crying.
Yes.
Dustin Hopkins is laughing. I'm laughing at all of you out there as well. For all of you idiots who were crying and pleading, get rid of Dustin Hopkins, have a total lack of understanding of what statistics show, which is that Hopkins was a pretty decent, more importantly, consistent kicker who never went through these ups and downs that Blewett is having right now, mostly down. So you all deserve this. You asked for it. You got it. And we're here. It's not your fault. It's Ron Rivera's fault. But
it's also your fault.
It is your fault in some way because you asked for this. And I tweeted. I forgot you were here and tweeting and everything. So
we both tweeted about it at the same time.
Yeah. But you made a good point, which is welcome to kicker hell.
Right.
And you asked for this, and now you got it. And it's appropriate on Halloween that we're in kicker hell, I guess.
Yes. Ho, ho, Halloween. So I assume we'll be bringing in another kicker, and we're going to keep on bringing in other kickers all year long now because this is the time of year you can't find a good kicker, so you're just going to have to trot out a bunch of crappy kickers.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I mean, why on earth do you sign a kicker who hasn't kicked competitively in 4 years?
Right, and his career average is 69%.
Yeah, college average.
Right.
Because he's never made a pro kick. He's never been on an active pro roster and made an active kick before last week.
And here's one other thing, and I know talking about kickers is probably paint drying to some people, but one last point I'll make. Analyzing kickers from college into the NFL should be the easiest job in the world. Nothing changes for the most part. You're kicking a ball through uprights. Is the ball a little bigger? I think so. I'm actually not sure
because the goalposts are the same either. I think the NFL goalposts are narrower. I think.
No, they're the same goalposts.
I'm not sure that's true.
You don't think so? You don't think they're? Look up what college goalposts are. In college, you have to kick from outside the goalpost because the hashes are wider. So it's actually a little harder to kick that in college. But I'm pretty sure it's an 18-foot goalpost in college. Steve's going to Google it right now. But let me just continue on.
Okay, here we go. Are you ready to be wrong? Here's
the
answer. This is courtesy. Now, I can't vouch for this site, but this is the first Google hit that came up. And this is guysgirl.com/NFL from 2013. It says NCAA goalposts are 23 feet 4 inches compared to 18 feet 4 inches in the NFL.
Really? They're that much bigger?
Yeah, I knew there was.
I did not realize college goalposts were 4 feet wider. Or what is that? 6 feet wider. Almost.
But yeah, it's about 5.
Yeah.
It's 5 feet exactly.
Okay. Well, either way. I'm not doing math. I had a long drive today. Regardless, if you stink in college, you're not going to be better in the pros. And whatever your numbers are in college should translate pretty cleanly into the pros. It's just like quarterback completion percentage and all that other stuff.
I mean, it's certainly not going to get better.
Right.
You could argue since the goalposts are narrower that it may get worse, and the NFL is just harder in general, but it's certainly not going to get better. And look, I mean,
your general job is the same. That's the killer.
I have nothing against Mr. Blewett necessarily. I mean, on a personal level, he just came in and doing his job and trying his best. You know, he wants to make these kicks, but he's just not good enough.
No, he's not an NFL kicker.
Hopkins is with the San Diego Chargers, if I recall.
Yep, and I think they got a win today. So
Did he make all his kicks, or did he get through
He made a kick. I think he only had one kick. Let's look at what the Chargers did.
Sure.
Well, you said San Diego, LA Chargers.
Sorry, yeah, whatever.
I keep on wanting them to be in San Diego. Oh no, they lost to New England by 3.
Yeah, but that's not the point, though. The point is, did Dustin Hopkins make his kicks?
Yeah. Give me 1 second. I got to look up the stats.
See, I'm good at these stats. I already got
1 for 1. He was 1 for 1 today.
There you
go. From 48 yards.
So anyway, all of you out there deserve this. You asked for it because you don't know what the hell you're talking about for the most part. And you saw Dustin Hopkins miss a kick or two, and you lack a fundamental understanding of what he did over the course of a number of years here, which put him solidly in the middle of the pack in terms of long-term kickers and above average for the slew of garbage that circulates through the NFL and the kicking position.
Right. And now we're on that carousel of garbage.
Yes.
Yep.
Fluid is part of the garbage.
Okay, let's move on because there's other things to talk about with this team.
I'm glad you mentioned that, though, because I wanted to gloat.
Yeah. I wanted to put that up front because you also know I love talking about special teams and how everyone's wrong about special teams but us. We're smarter about it.
We are smarter about it, to be honest.
Yeah. You're on my side now in we like being smart about this.
I've always liked being smart about this. You pay more attention to the special teams film than I do. But I've always been all over the numbers with all these kickers and punters and stuff.
And numbers, actually, special teams is all about numbers. It really is.
Stats.
Okay. I want to talk. I know we have to talk about what happened in the game, but this game has some lasting consequences, I think, for the rest of the season now.
Okay.
And I also want to cover that. We have to talk about the fact that our entire offensive line is now injured at this point.
Well, Charles Leno is healthy, but beyond him.
And by the way, Charles Leno replacing a guy from last year who played well.
Yeah, Leno's average himself at best.
Yeah. So we have now replaced the entire offensive line from what we had a year ago, either by choice or by injury. That's a little wild to think we're already at that point.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah. I want to talk about the rise of Patterson in this game and what consequences that might have going forward for this team. And then I think we do have to talk about the quarterback situation because, that's going to be a thing going forward. So let's start with those things on offense. First off, the offensive line. That looked terrible.
You're just not going to let me do these stats, are you?
Okay, you can do the stats first.
It's my OCD's going nuts.
All right.
Okay, Heineke, we're going to get to him. 25 for 39, 272 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, both Hail Marys, 5 sacks, quarterback rating of 71.7. Jarrett Patterson, who Alex mentioned, 11 for 46, 4.2 yards per attempt, per carry rather, long of 13. Antonio Gibson, 8 for 34, 4.3 yards per attempt, 12 carries. Terry McLaurin on the jet sweep was 1 for 12. Taylor Heineke only had 1 scramble for 10 yards. J.D. McKissick, 3 for 10. Receiving wise, J.D. McKissick was the leading receiver on the day, 8 for 83. DeAndre Carter, 351. Adam Humphries, 2 for 35. Terry McLaurin, 3 for 23. Dax Milne with 1 catch. Cam Sims, 1 catch. Antonio Gibson was 3 for 20. Ricky Seals-Jones, 3 for 14. John Bates, 1 for 4. And on the Denver side, Teddy Bridgewater was 19 for 26, 213 yards, 1 touchdown. Quarterback rating of 109.9. Melvin Gordon, leading rusher on the day. Both teams 10 for 47. Javonte Williams, 9 for 35. That was, by the way, 4.7 yards per attempt. Sure. And receiving wise, Tim Patrick, 3 for 64. Cortland Sutton, 2 for 40. Jerry Jeudy, 4 for 39. It goes down from there. In terms of sacks, Landon Collins, a sack. Deron Payne, sack. And I think that was the one where Teddy Bridgewater fell and somebody had to touch him. That Deron Payne got credit for that. Jonathan Allen with the big sack. And then James Smith-Williams with, I think, his first sack of his career, I believe. And then because there's no question about the Tressway thing today, he was 1 for 66, which, by the way, that punt went 80 yards. If anybody noticed, it went 80. He punted from the back of the end zone, and the ball was caught at maybe the 31, 32. That's almost 80 yards. 76.
80 yards through the air.
Yeah, right.
They always count. They don't count you to the line of scrimmage and all that stuff. But yeah. He just continues to do amazing things as a punter, and yeah,
incredible. He ought to be all
right, well,
go ahead.
Do you want to get back to the O-line?
I do. Yes.
I guess the question's going to be going forward, what do they do? Chase Roullier, it sounds like he had to be taken out in a cast.
There's nothing they can do this year.
Yeah.
What can you do? You find some scrap heap offensive lineman and strike gold? I mean, you maybe, but the odds of that
they
happening
have to find somebody, right? They just need bodies.
Yeah, I mean, so they're probably gonna, I would assume, activate David Steinmetz. First of all, let's just get this out of the way before we get to Rouillet. Saahdiq Charles was freaking terrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. Oh my God. He gave up at least 2 sacks that I counted. And
2 sacks and about 5 pressures altogether.
Yeah, he didn't look good at all. That was more of the pressure, I think. But generally speaking, what are they going to do? The whole, like Alex said, the whole line is terrible. Chase Roullier, I also tweeted a photo, which was a still frame from Mark Bullock's Mark Bullock's screen capture of the play where he got hurt, and his ankle looked horrible. It was going the wrong direction. And by the way, if you ever wonder why Mark Bullock can do that, it's because he's in England and you can get NFL Game Pass in England, even though you can't in the United States unless you live downtown of a major city. Which is just stupid beyond all comprehension.
Yeah, no, we should be able to watch any game live with Game Pass.
I'm totally okay with stealing these feeds that I have to watch these game on when the NFL gives me only one option, which is hanging a satellite dish off my roof to get these games. It's crazy. But in terms of
ugly.
Yeah, but in terms of O-line, I mean, you start with Saahdiq Charles. Right. I mean, I don't know how hurt Sam Cosmi is. He practiced a little bit this week. Cornelius Lucas was just sick, so I'm assuming that one of the two of them will be back in 2 weeks.
So that helps a little. But you got to be worried about the whole interior line now.
Yeah, I mean, that was the easy thing. The harder part is the interior, as you were saying, because I mean, Brandon Scherff is in the middle of his annual injury thing, and hopefully he'll be back in 2 weeks. But Chase Roullier looks like he's down for the year, if I had to guess.
Yeah. I mean, at least 6 weeks. Let's assume it's a break. That's 6 weeks.
Yeah, at least. I mean,
if it's worse than that, yeah, he's done.
I mean, I'd probably just be tempted to put him on ice now that they're 2-6. But I mean, Keith Ismail, I think, is a huge step down at center. And then you got Schweitzer and, Eric Flowers was hurt on the second last play of the game or something.
Yeah. Oh, and Schweitzer, by the way, also not doing very good.
No, which isn't surprising.
No.
Hopefully
although he played okay at left guard last time. Maybe he's better on the left side, so maybe you move him to left.
I mean, I remember Robbie Duncan when he was with us was always talking about how it was harder to go from left to right than from tackle to guard.
Right.
And I trust Robbie's opinion, obviously. We like Robbie, and he was a college offensive lineman, so he knows what he's talking about. Right. I don't have a good answer, man. I don't know what your answer is. I don't have a good answer with this O-line. They're just going to have to suck this year, I think.
I mean, and the worst part is we don't have good blocking tight ends to even help them out. That's the scary part.
No, I know. John Bates is supposed to be that guy, and he doesn't seem to get on the field a ton. And when he he doesn't do anything that's all that wonderful in the blocking schemes.
Right. I mean, Bates was supposed to be that guy. Reyes, they say, is a decent blocker at times, but he's raw. I mean, I don't know.
He doesn't get on the field at all. I mean, they don't give him any offensive.
He's redshirted right now.
He gets a couple special team snaps, and that's about it.
Yeah. And that's where he should be, honestly.
I mean, they signed Jay Sternberger rather than let Sammis Reyes play and let that sink in.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what they're going to do there. It's going to be a hot mess for the rest of the year. It's worrying because, that was going to kind of be the backbone of the offense a little bit this year was, have some good O-line play to help the quarterbacks and all that. But
was anybody really excited about the O-line? I was more worried about the tackles than I was the interior, I guess.
Sure.
So let's just go over this. So here's who they have
left
on the active roster. Eric Flowers, Tyler Larsen, Chase Roullier, Brandon Scherff, Wes Schweitzer. So of that group, Flowers and Larsen and Schweitzer are healthy. Larsen seems to never play, but he's healthy, presumably.
Well, and we don't know how healthy Flowers is. Like you said, he did get hurt.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so really it's Larsen and Schweitzer are the only ones not
left.
Hurt
and Ishmael is center.
Yeah, I'm getting to him. Yeah, he's actually was elevated from the practice squad. He's not even on the active roster full time. So he will be now that Roulier's gone. Right. And then tackle, because I'm getting to the practice squad here in a minute. Tackles, it's Saahdiq Charles, who we saw blow big chunks today. Sam Cosmi, who's hurt, Charles Leno, and then Cornelius Lucas, who was sick, so he'll be fine, presumably. And then on the practice squad, Keith Ishmael, again, who was elevated, which means, if you don't know, that's elevated just for this game day, and he goes back unless they sign him. And then they got Nolan Laufenberg, who's an interior offensive lineman. Bo Benschwal, who was in training camp, who's been on the practice squad. And then David Steinmetz, who was elevated also. So the rank order of those guys is Ishmael and Steinmetz are way above Laufenberg and Benschwal, because we haven't heard word one about them. That's all they got, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen.
That ain't good.
No.
I mean, I don't know if, at this point, maybe you're looking at Russell Okung, who's a free agent. He's 33. Like, you need to start bringing in bodies at this point.
I mean, what can we say about today? I mean, there was a lot more pressure from the edges. I think today, a lot of it was Sadiq Charles, but that kept Taylor Heinicke from really scrambling and rolling too much, rolling and scrambling like he does. Instead he was just stuck in the pocket, and we'll get to Heinicke's performance here in a minute, I guess. But
yeah.
And the scary thing is, Denver, as Mark Schlereth repeatedly said, was playing a bunch of like street free agent linebackers and stuff, and Von Miller wasn't out there.
Right.
Their defensive line isn't all that highly regarded. I mean, what happens when they face like some, Dallas or someone that does have these pass rushers? Nothing good would be my guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna say nothing good is the answer. Like I said, they need to bring in bodies. I'm like right now actively Googling who's available. Okung's probably the biggest name. There's multiple guys from the Chiefs offensive line that was terrible last year who are free agents.
Yeah, I mean, at some point it's not going to be an improvement,
Right.
The one thing is you have to hope that Brandon Scherff comes back. That would make a big difference all by itself. Because
luckily we have a week too,
Yeah, it's the bye week, and I do think a lot of Eric Flowers. I mean, I think he's a pretty good acquisition. He played well, 2 years ago?
Yeah, he's played well this year too.
Yeah.
He's a solid guard. I know he was a bust at tackle, but he's been solid as a guard.
Right. But this is not the Hogs. No matter what happens, it's just not going to be a good offensive line this year because there's just no options.
Right.
Russell Okung is your, is your hope. I think your hope is pretty dim.
Right. Well, and let's be honest, they were okay last year. They weren't elite. I think some people think they were like an elite line last year, and they were just above average.
In a lot of things, and in some things they weren't.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, why don't we talk about the Heinicke game? He's continuing to struggle. At this point, if Fitzpatrick's healthy, you think they just throw Fitzpatrick back in there at this point?
Well, he apparently was on crutches last week while you were out. I mean, that was I don't know if you caught that when you were on your vacation, but I mean, yeah, I would throw him out there if he was healthy. But if the man was on crutches a week ago, I don't know how it is he plays football in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, definitely, because I mean, yes, Ryan Fitzpatrick is a journeyman, but he's a lot better journeyman than Josh Allen and Taylor Heinicke,
right.
I think. And he at least
we're also journeymen.
But let's talk about, since we're supposed to be doing a game recap, what do we see out of Taylor Heinicke today? He throws late a lot. That causes a lot of problems.
He continues to panic a little bit. You can tell.
I thought that the Hail Mary at the end of the first half, where's my note? Trying to find my note here because I wrote something good.
Was it about the fact that apparently pass interference is allowed if you're Denver?
No, it wasn't. It was an absurd play call. Okay, that's one thing. I mean, did anybody happen to see that every Denver defensive lineman was standing in the end zone, and there was like 25 yards of emptiness between them? And there was really no need to throw just a 50-50 Hail Mary ball. I mean, they had a running back release that almost would have been better. When does the Hail Mary ever work? What is somebody give me the percentage? I don't know.
Well, there was one that the Saints threw against us this year.
Yeah, there's one. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course it was against Washington, and that was. Oh yeah, and by the way, the one that I was talking about was not the one at the halftime. That was the other one. It was the one on the eighth drive of the game. That was the second to last drive by Washington.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
That
yeah.
Hail Mary interception, the entire Denver secondary was standing in the end zone or on the goal line, and there was 30 yards or 25 yards of nothing.
Right.
And I saw the running back McKissick release into the flats by himself. I'd love to see the all 22 on that because I think I'm right. I think it would have been a much better thing to do, um, to just you know let McKissick try to do his worst.
Mm. All right. So let me say another thing that this team keeps trying that's not working on offense: screen passes. They are because Heineke doesn't have a strong arm. The screens take forever to set up, and by the time the ball gets the receiver already is either moved, like we saw with Terry McLaurin this time, or it gets blown up by a
It's not just
defender.
that he doesn't have a strong arm; he doesn't. But the other thing is he didn't get rid of the ball quick enough.
Right. Right.
And that's something he's had a problem with all year long. He does not get rid of the ball. And so, I mean, he sets these running backs up to fail on the screen passes or the
Right. And,
receivers.
and the receiver, it's even worse with the receivers and the tight ends when
Yeah.
they do that. The running backs at least have a shot, it looks like, because, you're pulling linemen and you can do a little bit more with a running back screen, I feel like. But these receiver screens are not getting set up well at all
I mean, the
because
one
of
play
that.
that's consistently worked like that for Washington this season has been J.D. McKissick with these flat passes. Some of them
Yes.
aren't necessarily screen passes, but J.D. McKissick on the edge, it seems to be the only thing that consistently gains yards.
Or even more so the wheel routes that they have him running, where
Yeah,
he kind of starts out going to the flat and then cuts up.
right.
Those have been working great.
That seems to be the only thing Washington can do with any kind of consistency. And so Heineke, I mean, I think Heineke is kind of regressing to the mean
Hmm.
because look,
This is what he is.
yeah, I mean, if he was anything different, he would have been a starter somewhere else.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, it's a great story and all of that, and yeah, he was in math class 2 years ago and all of that, or a year ago, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, he's a backup and he's not a starter in the NFL. Shouldn't
Right.
be. He
He
is
he
currently, but he shouldn't.
he. And there's different types of backups. I've said this before. He is going to be he'll be okay as a 4 game backup. He's not a full season. Ryan Fitzpatrick is what I would consider a full season backup, where you really don't want him starting, but he can start 16 games and just give you something.
He's a legitimate starter. He's gonna have massive ups and downs, all of that, inconsistent, everything. But I think he's more of a legitimate NFL starter than is Heineke. And I can prove this by statistics, by the way. In
Sure.
case anybody was wondering, I'm not gonna go and recite them all here now, but I mean he's a bottom third quarterback right now, and that was before today.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's safe to say Heineke he's a backup. And like I said, he's not a backup you want starting all year. He's going to be a backup you could bring in for a game or two, maybe 4, like I said, and that'll be that for him for the rest of his career probably. Is, you know, we'll find somebody else. He might stick around and he'll just be here if they get hurt for a month.
Just think about how bad Josh Allen must be if
We're
at a
not even
minimum.
talking about him, right? Like
I know,
and
that's my point.
the
Nobody's
honest
ever
truth
mentioned.
is if they decided, hey, we're gonna just see what Josh Allen has at this point, okay, I'm okay with that. We've seen what Taylor we gave Taylor a shot. That's fair. You know, that's kind of what I wanted them to do anyway. If they weren't going to draft a quarterback, was see what these other guys have. Just give them another shot and let it sort itself out for a
Yeah, I
year.
mean, I'm not expecting to get any different results, but I mean,
No, no, no,
gonna hurt anything? No, of course not. Might as
no.
well.
Because at this point, we're almost playing for draft position, so I don't care if
I
we lose.
hate playing for draft position.
I
I want
know.
them to win every game. If it was, the battle of the losers in week 17 or 18 now for the number one draft pick, my rooting interest would be for Washington to win, quarterback be damned. That's
Sure.
just the way I am. I can never root for these teams to lose. It's just not football to me. But
And logically, I understand what you're saying, but there's also the part of my brain that's like, There's not even a great quarterback this class anyway. So
I
why?
haven't
Why?
studied him enough.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I'm not
From what I've
prepared.
been reading, none of them are great. You know, no, there's no Andrew Luck this year.
No,
So
or what's his name, Trevor Lawrence, and all of
yeah, there's
that. No,
there's no guy like that. Now someone always shows up though. All
Patterson.
right, let's switch to the defense.
You
Talk
want
about
to do
them real.
Patterson real fast?
Oh yeah, let's do Patterson.
I know you
I,
wanted
I
to.
was really impressed with his day today, and given that Gibson hasn't been healthy in a month, I think you got to kind of keep using him like this for a while.
That probably was the probably what the thought process was. I'm assuming because
Yeah,
Patterson had more carries. Patterson had 11. Gibson had 8. And what was impressive to me about Patterson is number one, he actually ran out of the eye once, which is amazing as a tailback.
yeah.
With what's his name, Heineke under center, which he seems to never do.
I
And
didn't. We didn't know Heineke could get under center.
it
Honestly.
drives me to destruction. You mentioned this 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
Drives me to destruction when they're short, third and short, and you got the quarterback out of a shotgun. It just God drives me crazy.
Right. Me too.
Yeah.
Me too, Steve.
But Jared Patterson, I just don't think Antonio Gibson is, and certainly Heineke isn't comfortable out of the eye. He never did that in college.
hmm
For the very limited reps he had at running back in college, he was all exactly what you see here, quarterback in the shotgun.
Right.
That's what he did. And Patterson is more of a true traditional running back. So I think that going forward, it probably ought to be more of a tag team, particularly if Fitzpatrick comes back in and he can kind of do a lot more than in terms of formations than Heineke did
hmm
or can. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think and look, he averaged 4.2 yards per carry today.
Yeah. Hey,
Patterson did.
totally respectable.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to see him keep using him. Just also gives a change of pace to the running style because
Yeah,
he's a
that's
different
the
type of
point.
runner. Yeah.
Because what you see with this constant 99% shotgun, um, you're telegraphing your runs all the time. They've got
hmm
to do more, and this is Scott Turner's problem. I think you just need to tell Taylor Heineke, son, you need to start. I know you don't like it, but you're going to have to be out of under center some. You
Yeah.
have to. That's
Yep.
what I would do. I mean, I'm no coach, but I think it's really hurting the run game, and I think teams are kind of figuring it out.
Yeah. I mean, the aggravating thing to me is they don't even use like a pistol formation to change it up.
No, they
Like
don't. It's always out of the straight deep, shotgun. Yeah.
right, right. I mean, even if they went pistol once in a while, that would at least do something.
Something, anything.
Yeah.
Please, Scott Turner, change it up for God's sakes.
Yeah. All right, let's switch sides. Talk about the defense because they had a decent day today. Statistically, only 17 points. They did get that one fumble in the end to give the offense one last shot. Chase
Yeah,
Young got that
Chase Young
big.
was the strip, right? That's what I thought.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I
Um,
mean, I didn't think we were gonna win it, but I was like, hey, you know what? The defense did their job there, and they haven't been doing stuff like that all
of
season.
course, let's be honest though. I mean, Denver's offense is about like Washington's offense statistically from their production standpoint. If they ran up 30 points on this defense truly would be bottom 5 gigantic bust. I think they were overrated last year, our
Yeah.
defense. I think that statistically they've faced a bunch of monsters right in a row offensively that has skewed their statistics a little bit. I think the truth of the matter is this defense is underperforming for sure.
hmm
But they're not a bottom 5 defense. I think they're more like a bottom 10 defense.
I would say
Honest.
bottom 10 to 12 range. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate kind of analysis of what the defense is at the half. Um, and they're starting to get better.
They're also playing worse teams, so
They're playing worse teams. I think we're seeing them finally put certain people in the proper roles, like Landon Collins is playing linebacker.
can I
And,
take a minute to gloat? Do you mind?
about, okay, sure.
I wrote a film study on Landon Collins 2 years ago in which I studied his New York Giants film. In that
Right.
film study, those of you who read it and remember it will realize and recall that I said Landon Collins is a linebacker. And I have been saying this for 2 years. Rick Snyder
hmm
said it a few weeks ago, but other than he and I, and possibly you agreeing with me, I don't think anybody else ever said Landon Collins is linebacker. This is his highest and best use, is
Right.
what you're seeing now, and should not be a shock that he's playing better.
Right. I mean, the annoying thing is, of course, Ron Rivera's had him for 2 years, and like, okay, he was out last year, but Ron Rivera should know this.
He's a
Like,
linebacker himself, for God's
yeah,
sakes.
yeah,
So was Jack Del Rio.
yeah, and I always made that comment kind of about how Rivera played in the 4-6, so he should realize you can make a safety kind of play down like that.
You would think.
Right. And I know you played in the 4-6 in high school, and you disagree with him
No, no,
being a
no. I didn't play.
4-6.
No, 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 no. We didn't play a 4-6. We just
Oh,
played
okay.
the standard 4-3 cover 2. I just saying I know what the 4-6 is, and it's not quite as simple as that. But
No,
I
no.
mean, it's basically that's all I ever said. I
Oh,
never
I
played a
thought you were
4-6.
saying you played it in school at one
No,
point.
no, no. We just played a 4-3 cover 2. No matter what.
Gotcha.
But anyway, so defensively, I mean, look, yeah, Chase Young got the strip, today. He's been a massive disappointment this year.
Yeah, this is as bad of a sophomore slump of any rookie MVP as I can remember, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him. I mean, at some point you got to stop blaming OTAs or whatever.
We're past the point where OTAs would have helped.
Matters, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on. Yeah, and yes, he's getting more pressure, more quarterback pressures for sure. But the sacks just aren't getting there, and I don't understand it. Um, at some point we'll have to watch the film and try to figure it out. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, because it seems to me like he's doing the same thing every play for the most part. That's
he needs
part of
more
it.
moves.
Yeah, he needs more moves. But we've known that. Like we've known that was kind of an issue with him. Was that he's a physically athletic freak, or athletically gifted freak, but like he doesn't have the moves, and I
Well, and
don't
that's
know if they're coaching that stuff up with him enough.
I think that's a common problem when you have guys who are like elite off the charts athletes.
Oh yeah, of course.
Sometimes their technique isn't as good. Their effort. I'm not saying Chase's effort isn't good. I think he is a high effort guy, but I mean, like look at like Shaq in basketball.
Sure.
Low effort dude. Certainly in his early days, with the Lakers, the first run, low effort, didn't practice, didn't work out, was just so far beyond physically everybody that didn't matter. And that's what I think a lot of these, especially these defensive linemen in college, these edge rushers,
Yeah.
fall into this trap because they're just so much better than everybody else and they don't really need to develop moves, and so they don't. And I think that's somebody who's a defensive line expert, correct me, but as an amateur, that is my impression of what's going on here.
And I think it happens with a lot of position groups. I mean, like it. Otherwise, every receiver who runs a 4.2 would be, a Hall of Famer.
Well,
And
yeah,
it seems
that's the point. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And meanwhile, Jerry Rice ran like a 4.6 or 4.7, and he's the best ever.
Right. Because, like they knew in college, I'll outrun everybody, and you can't do that. So.
But it's not even just him though. I mean, Montez Sweat hasn't made as much of an impact as he should.
Sure.
Yes, he's had a couple sacks. What does he have? 2, 3 sacks maybe?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
But if it wasn't for John Allen, I mean, John Allen outperforming, and he got another sack today, so he's at 6, I believe. I think it's 6. They would be toward the bottom in sacks, and that's just totally unacceptable when you're talking about a defense with 4 first-round draft picks in the defensive line.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's the whole line's been a bit of a letdown. It has to do with coverage. They're not getting any kind of coverage sacks for the most part. That's part of the issue. I do want to talk about the secondary too.
Okay.
All right, they struggled a bit today. Benjamin St-Juste, I think, got beat up quite a bit in the first half, but kind of settled down.
Theme.
Yeah, but I mean, look, he's a rookie. Am I still wrong in feeling like they play a little bit better now, with Jackson not being out there?
I said that last week. I know you weren't on the show. I wrote that in my takeaways column, and I think I said it on the game recap. They seem to have less total mix-ups and busts without Jackson out there. I don't know why that is. I don't necessarily think it was all Jackson's fault because Bobby McCain was responsible for a bunch of them.
Yeah,
Kendall
I mean,
Fuller
a lot of it's
was.
on the safeties. We know that.
Yeah, right. But yeah, they've been better for sure. And I think this is a pretty good matchup for St. Jude's today because they were a bunch of big physical receivers, and
Hmm.
that's what he is as a defender. It wasn't a bunch of tiny little guys, like some of these other teams have, these speed demons and all of that. It was a bunch
Right.
of gigantic receivers. So I think that plays into his strengths a little bit more, at least. And he had a decent second half. Yes, he gave up some plays, but like you said, I thought it was mostly in the first half.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what he did well in the second half that I noticed? Yeah, he was having trouble with the receivers, but like in the run game and playing shallow coverages, he like, guys in the flats and stuff, he did a really good job there.
Yeah,
So, I think all in all, Fuller did okay. Yeah, they
there were
gave up.
no major busts, no
There was
no
one
major
early
mix-up.
in the
What's
first
that?
quarter, wasn't there one big bust early?
It wasn't a huge. I mean, he got beat.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, that was Noah Fant beating Jamin Davis. I
right.
think is what you're talking about. I mean, it wasn't a huge bust. Just he got beat, and it happens, and it was pretty bad. But the things we saw earlier in the year were these like gigantic missteps where the safeties don't know where the hell they're supposed to be and all of that. We haven't
Hmm.
seen that. So I do think they're getting better. It is part of it is that, again, where it's Teddy Bridgewater and not Justin
Sure.
Herbert, and all of that. But I think the secondary is getting a little better. Yes, it's incremental and it ain't nothing to write home about, but I think they're getting better.
Yeah, they're slowly getting better. Do we anything about the linebackers? Nothing stood out to me
Well, I mean,
today.
they barely have linebackers.
Yeah, I know.
I know I saw Cole Holcomb got run over by I think it was Javante Williams.
Oh, did
Just
he?
like,
I didn't
oh
notice
God,
that
yeah.
one.
It was like they faced off and it was like King Kong Bundy running over Bud Bundy. And if those of you remember the married I just saw this one this morning, the Married with Children episode where Bud was a wrestler and he faced King Kong Bundy.
No, I
That was
didn't. I don't remember that one, but
that was Javante Williams versus Cole Holcomb today.
that's funny.
There's
Dated
your
reference
obscure
to the early
reference.
'90s. There, I like
Exactly.
it. Okay. Whatever happened to Bud Bundy? I don't know.
I just saw it this morning. That's what popped in my head. But so to summarize, because I know you want to move on. To summarize this, defense, yes, statistically they played better. I think especially the secondary looked better. But I mean, look, it's not comparable to compare the Broncos to
No,
like the Chargers and even the Packers offense isn't what the Packers offense used to be. So they
sure,
face these offenses they face just haven't been very good, and that's partly why their stats are getting better.
sure, absolutely true. All right, why don't we wrap this up? Do game balls,
Boy,
because
game
that
balls.
is where we are at in the day. I can go first if you want.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna do this honest. I'm not gonna give a game ball to the guys who blocked all the kicks or anything like that. These are, hey, I'm happy you gave some effort game balls. One for Jared Patterson for his first like legitimate game. I know he's played a little bit here and there, but this was his first honest game, and so good for him. He did okay. And then on defense, I'm gonna say Landon Collins because again, hey, you're finally doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like, and I know you complained and you didn't like it, and you whined and whined about being a linebacker and playing in the box all the time. But guess what? You did it, and you actually didn't suck. So keep doing things that don't suck. That's my philosophy.
Good choices both. I'm gonna go a different direction.
Okay.
J.D. McKissick gets the offensive game ball for me again. I gave it to him last week, but once again, he's the producer. He produced 93 total yards on 11
Hmm.
carry on 11 touches. I mean, in absence of someone else, again, I like your Patterson choice. DeAndre Carter had a strong game in some
Sure.
respects, but McKissick was the driver of the offense today, so I think he deserves a game ball.
Totally
So choice.
understandable.
And I'm gonna go with Chase Young. on the defensive game ball just to be different. I do agree Landon Collins probably deserved it, but Chase had the strip there at the end of the game that could have made the difference had the offense been able to get their act together and all of that.
That's what Chase Young's actually here for, is doing things like that.
And
right.
Today, yeah, he didn't get a sack, but he had a key game-changing play that he did because of his athleticism, was able to strip that ball that other people wouldn't have. So Chase Young game ball today. And I'll give a hearty handshake to Patterson for his good game.
Yeah, I would. I mean, look, I'm not going to disagree with either of your picks either. Like they're good calls.
I'm not
by
going
the
to
way,
make Chris Blewett go get my dinner.
Oh, don't make him get it. He'll drop it or something. Yeah. It won't even like make it to you.
All right.
Yeah.
The end.
Yep. That should wrap it up. There's a whole discussion we need to make some notes about what we're talking about on the bye week spectacular, because that's coming up. So
we'll talk about that off the air.
Yep, off the air conversations for us. Toodles, guys.
Bye.